Amen. God bless you. Amen. Thank God for you for coming in to join us on this afternoon. Hey, I just want to come on just for a hot moment, not long at all, just to talk to you about our new group, our new we're calling it our oh my God, oh my God, the term that left my mind. Small group. It's called Life Links. What we're going to talk about in Life Links, what we're going to deal with in Life Links, it's actually a continuum from our uh, she said, he said um, group that we did that we started some time ago. And what Lifelinks is a relationship group, and it's a group that's centered on the synergy of relationships. And so what we talk about is and how we what we deal with is relationships from um, multiple positions and multiple angles and multiple spheres of influence or multiple ways that you have relationships. So, we of course we have the first thing when you talk about relationship, you talk about the husband and the wife relationship. And yes, we're going to deal with the husband and wife dynamic, but then there's other relationships that come along in our life. We have our relationships with our friends. We have our relationships with our parents, and the Greeks they had multiple words they deal with these relationships when they talked about uh, connecting with humans and we're going to deal with that. We're going to deal with the connections of humans. And sometimes those relationships, the connecting of human relationships, sometimes those relationships take some turns and take some nose dives and they get into the weeds and they have issues and they have struggles and conflict arises. Within those relationships. And we want to talk about that. We want to deal with that. We want to come together and hang out with each other and just talk about relationships. And of course, the I don't want to say the coup de grace, but the most prominent and the most efficient relationship is our spiritual relationship. And one we want to talk about, and we want to move through what we call the equidistance place, that middle ground is that relationship with the Father. And so we want to talk about all of that. We want to deal with relationships from a natural to a spiritual to a soulical to a well functioning um, movement towards one another. And so LifeLink, this is what LifeLinks is all about. LifeLinks is about us coming together and building relationships with one another and building our relationship with God. And what does that look like? What does that look like? I asked a question the other day. What's the remedy for uh, immorality? What is the antidote? What is that thing that um, uh, moves immorality out of our lives and out of society? We couldn't answer the question. We couldn't answer the question. It was a question that left us all thinking. Left us all thinking. One of the things, one of the antidotes for immorality, y'all, is relationship. Relationships uh, solve some of the most uh, fundamental struggles in our society. The motif of covenant we see from the beginning of this world's creative function. We see the first covenant um, between humanity was the covenant of the relationship with a man and a woman. But then we see covenants even before we get into the covenant of the physical covenants. We see the covenant of God and earth as earth responds to his voice and it moves at the behest of his voice. We see the covenant of the earth coming together and creating what comes from the earth. And so we see these movements and we see these functions and we see all of these things happening. And I'm not going to deal with the seven dispensations, but we'll just deal with the first one. The number one is the relationship between God and man. And then we see the relationship between man and woman. And then we see the building of relationships through communal structure. As God is establishing and he's moving the earth and he's building the earth back to its original function that he originally had in his mind. We see the earth moving. And so in that we see relationships having a most prominent and the most powerful function in the earth. Wisdom tells us to come to her and ask her for advice. She tells us that she's crying at the gate. She's crying, wanting to come in to you and to teach you and to train you on how to do and how to be proficient in your relationship. So we want to talk about that. We're going to talk about that in our Lifelinks group. Come join us. I'm going to be hitting a lot of you up, asking you to be a part. I'm not demanding. I'm just going to ask you to be a part of our group and just come together, with your friend, your brother, Santos Howard, Pastor Santos Howard, and our Life Church as we engage in this Lifelinks discourse, this group, this small group. Prophetic Church is on its way. It's coming. It's here. We just haven't did the work to establish our building where we're going to launch out and we're going to do Prophetic Church. But come and join us, if you will. We thank God, amen, for you. We thank God for this time that you have given us in your busy schedules in life. And we just want to thank God that you didn't have to do anything, but we thank you for doing whatever you do. God bless you. Again, this is Lifelinks. This is our Lifelinks welcoming video, welcoming you to Lifelinks as we get started. We actually were supposed to have our first group on the 25th, but it was so much going on, so much happening. So we postponed it and we put it back. So we're going to be moving into Lifelinks sometime later on this month. And so we're going to be asking you to join us. Like I said earlier, we're going to be asking you to join us and become a part. And we thank God, amen, for you as you endeavor, or you as you say, yes, you're going to be a part of Lifelinks with us. And again, we want to talk about it. We want to build. We want to establish. We want to restore. We want to improve and reprove relationships. We want to bring people back together that have been apart for years and years and years, for just things that just happen in life. We must understand that we are humans and we do human things. We do things that are flawed. We do things that's offensive. We do things that are magnificent and great. And but you know what? Sometimes things happen. And at different junctions of our lives, our levels of maturity and our levels sanity. You know, sometimes we go through moments of insanity and don't even realize that we're in insane predicaments, and we just moving about, just not even worried and concerned about what is actually happening, but we're literally dealing with some mental illnesses. And so, you know, we want to talk about those things in life. We want to come together and we want to love on each other and bring each other through these processes, because there's nothing better than the covenant of relationship. God bless you. God bless you. And we thank God for you. We'll be coming back again, talking to you about life links a little bit further, as we endeavor to do and to perform. But before I get off, I'm gonna transition really quickly. Over into this subject matter. Just really quickly. I just want to say something really quickly. As the church, we have to understand. We have to understand who we are. We have to understand who we are. We have to understand that there is a culture that God designed for us, and for us to be exclusively gathered together in this covenant. This covenant with God, and this covenant with one another within the dynamic of the church has been infiltrated, if you will. We have assimilated ourselves so much with the world that the world is now influencing the dynamics of what we do. Our system has become flawed to some degree because we are letting world thinking patterns dictate our movement. Social media has been a definite evil that has penetrated the church, and is trying to influence our mental capacity, our cognitive energy, that allows us, watch this, that allows us to hear God. Now watch this, not the cognitive energy that the mind releases, because our relationship with God is totally spiritual. I could actually go to Isaiah. Let's go to Isaiah really quickly. I'm gonna go to Isaiah really quickly. I believe it's Isaiah 53. Um, stay with me for a moment. 52, 53. It says, it's 53 and 1 says, I'm gonna read a few chapters. It says, Isaiah 53 and 1 says, who hath believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground. He had no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, there's no beauty that we should desire him. If we unpack that and we look at that, he has no form and he has no comeliness. So now, who is Isaiah talking about? Isaiah is talking about Jesus. He's talking about the coming of the Lord. He says, for he shall grow up before him as a tender plant and as a root out of dry ground. Look, he hath no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, there's no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. and we hid, as it were, our faces from him, and he was despised, and we esteemed him not. Um, Look at what I'm saying here. Verse 2. Say it like this, our relationship with God is totally spiritual. There's no beauty. We can't see him. There's no comeliness to him. One could argue that he's just this extremely powerful amorphous energy. But we know that God isn't just an amorphous. I mean, he's a large energy, but he has some similitude to him. But he's saying to us here that our relationship, we are connected to God only through the Spirit. So the cognitive energy that is happening in my mind is soul energy. So my mind and my soul are one in the same function. So what God does is God uses his spirit to speak to our spirit, and my spirit tells my mind what to do, how to respond. So the cognitive energy in my spirit, the mind of the spirit tells the cognitive energy in the mind of my soul how to perceive things of the spirit. So when we're moving with God, we're moving by his spirit. So our church function of the movement in our church is rooted in spirituality that is carried out through our souls and appreciated in our bodies. We do what we do because of our connection with God. We don't do what we do because of our connection with the world. The world doesn't dictate our movement. We actually are supposed to be dictating to the world. The government understood, and the government understands that we are a being, or we are a unit in the earth. The Bible declares that we're in the world, but we're not of the world. So because I'm in the world and I'm not of the world, I don't have to adhere to the things of the world. Now, the world system dictates my movement. I'm still subject to the system that the world put out. I'm still subject to that movement. I'm still subject to the law of the land. I'm still subject to the financial system, but I have to pay taxes, and taxes have to get paid back to me. Or if I overpay, I have to move within the function and the realm of what is happening in the world, but I'm not a part of the world. We have our own money system in the church. We have our own educational system in the church. It's not respected because the world don't want to respect it. And some of us are influenced by the world system that we don't even respect our own educational system. But the state has separated us and declared us a entity. And if we function and we do right within the entity, we don't even have to pay taxes. But what is happening to us is we are being influenced, and the systems of the world is dictating how we operate and how we move. How we move. We set our churches up so that we can appeal to the world. I understand the dynamic of the witness. I understand the dynamic of us wanting to uh, cause them to assimilate to our movement. But what is happening to us is we are moving like they're moving now. We can't dress how we want to dress. We can't walk up in here and just do what we want to do. I can't walk up in church with my boxers on, with my underwear on. I can't walk up in church like that. I can't walk up in church. I could do what I want to do, but I would hope that they excuse me out, or they tell me to put some clothes on, or they get me in order so that I could what not distract the services. We can't allow the world's thinking to dictate our movement. We can't let the world, uh, folks coming into the church, and then they recording what we do in the church, and then they putting it on social media, and then asking social media for the opinions of what we do. And then the opinions of what we do are taken into consideration by worldly people that don't even go to church, don't give to church, don't do nothing, don't have no connection to church, but they dictating our movement, and we adhering to what they're saying. Pastor Keon has to rebuke a young lady, which was what we know. We understand this because this is our culture. We understand what is happening, but the world don't understand what we do, don't understand and how we function. So then the world has a whole bunch to say about what we do. So now then Pastor Keon, he has to go online, and then he has to set things straight. And then the minute he set things straight, then he's condemned some more for what? For doing what he was supposed to do. He was leading his people in worship. They were connecting with God in worship. He was looking for a certain sound that he needed to hear. And somebody is disturbing the sound. She wasn't speaking in English. She wasn't speaking in English. He turned around and he had to get it straight. He had to bring it under subjection. But because this world don't understand what we do, everybody got something to say. Everybody is hating. Everybody is commenting on what the church does. I'm gonna tell you what we need to do. We need to stop this cell phone usage in the house of the Lord, and bring the house of the Lord, our services, back to sacredness to God. Because too many people, I just watched a video of a young lady. Her attire was a little bit too much. It was for the club. It was certainly for the club. She had on shoes that were designed and created for strippers. They were platform, high heel shoes. She had on a dress that was totally what's the word they use? They use it was contour, but it was another term that they add to the contour. I can't think of it, but it was totally contoured, and the lady had a lot to work with. She had a lot to work with. She had all of the stuff that uh, men like. It wasn't appropriate for church. It was not appropriate, and she was up doing praise and worship. So she's up before the people. So the group that actually posted, Black Economic Group or something to that effect, they actually posted it. So then they asked, "Is this appropriate for church?" And so, of course, a lot of people that don't go to church, that don't know the Bible, don't understand culture, don't understand what we do in the church, how we are supposed to conduct ourselves. The Apostle Paul did address us with some dressing issues. I mean, and we should adhere to the dress reform. Now, I'm not one to say or dictate what somebody call modest, but the church has this concept of what they call modest. We have this concept of what we call modest. Nobody has been able to determine what modesty is. So we'll leave that up to your own interpretation when we talk about modest. Some say a dress that fits a certain way. Yes, yes, absolutely. Some say she should have on a hat. Some say women should wear stockings in church. Some say just a whole bunch of stuff that that's out there. But we can't determine what's modest. Whatever we say would be conjecture at best. But I guess we can determine modesty as not attention getting attire. I guess we can determine that as a modest approach to um, the text or to our church culture. Because if I see something, I guess that's modest to me, um, it would be unassuming. I wouldn't pay much attention to it. I would just kind of gloss over it, if you will, and just keep on moving. Just like a man walking up in church and he got on an outfit and his pants are skin tight. Come on, dude, stop it. His pants are skin tight. His print is showing. It's ridiculous. I mean, come on. I mean, we have suits wasn't designed to be that way. Pants wasn't designed to be that way for men. But this is what we do, and no one is saying nothing. This is European worldly attire that has been that we've taken and we've adhered to, and we wear it to church, and we get up and we do all type of stuff in front of people, and nobody says nothing a lot of times. And then the minute we correct it, then folk run to social media and got a whole lot to say. And then, like, again, folk that's not even church inclined is dictating and saying a whole bunch of stuff about what we do. I have as a pastor, I have a right to deal with matters that pertain to the church, I'm sorry. And I should not be scrutinized by what people in the world have to say about what I do in the church, what I talk about in the church. Like Kim Burrell was ostracized for a season for talking about things that we have to do. The preacher has to get the house in order sometimes. This is what the book tells us to do. We have to get things lined up and get things in order sometimes. And we shouldn't be scrutinized by people that don't go to church. They don't have nothing to do with the house of the Lord. They don't give no money to the house of the Lord. They don't come. They hate the church. They gossip. They talk about preachers. They hate on preachers, but they got something to say about what we do. They shouldn't even be privy to what we do. They shouldn't even be privileged to what happens in the church. We got messy folk that run and tell everything that happens and does and so now we have to deal with all of this stuff in the house of the Lord, people coming up in the, got a whole bunch to say on social media, putting people under scrutiny that they don't need to be under. Now I want to say this, whoever made that video and posted that video was out of line for going up in there and filming that young lady the way they did. That was wrong. Go up in the church, film a whole praise and worship set, and then post it and have something to say. That's out of line. That's not cool. Again, we need to eliminate these cell phones in the house of the Lord. At church, they need to be taken away. Need to drop them in a bucket, put them in a yonder pouch, lock them up. If you go to Dave Chappelle comedy show, they take your cell phone from you and put it in these little pouches, and pouches lock up, and the only way you can get the pouch open is if you unlock the pouch with a little magnetic device. But that's what we need to be doing in church. We need to make that standard protocol in church so that we could move about and say what we need to say. Discipline folk the way we need to discipline folk when it's time to discipline folk, and raise offerings and pray for folk and prophesy and do all of this stuff, and we don't have to be put under the scrutiny of the world about what we're doing in the house of the Lord. Because we do a whole lot of things that the world knows nothing about. The mystical move of God happens in the house of the Lord. Phenomenal things. People are delivered from demonic spirits in the house of the Lord. People speak in tongues. People do all of these things that the world has no psychology about. They don't understand what is actually happening. They don't understand the language of the kingdom. But yet they're privy to what we do. And then what's cool about it is those that are connected in a part of the church go out and tell them and put them into our business and make them to know what we're doing. We gotta come together, and let me stop because I'm on my soapbox now. But we gotta come together, and we have to deal with what is happening in the house of the Lord. We got to deal with it, and so that we could have a streamlined approach to what we do. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you for coming in and joining me for these few minutes, as I said, while I was on my soapbox for a minute. But hang out with us in Life Links, and you will be blessed. Have a blessed day. Bye.